My name is Nick and welcome back to Cabin View Firewood. Today we're going to get into a little roadside stand project. I want to make a couple improvements to it to make it a little more consumer friendly. Now before we head down there, I want to bag up some firewood and some kindling, and I have not talked about the Kindling Cracker XL in a little while. So I use this thing quite a bit. It is a great way for me to quickly make kindling for my fireplace, my wood stove, any of the fire pits that I have around here. We have a little solo stove that we use every once in a while, and this has been a very handy tool. It's also been a great way for me to keep up with demand for my kindling bundles. So what I typically do is just pull out some of the smaller splits. I have a little pile here, and this is stuff that you'll get as you're running logs through your splitter. This stuff is perfect to make into kindling, and this thing splits them down really fast. Now what I use is a 5-gallon bucket with the bottom cut off. This was a viewer suggestion quite a while ago, and it has worked out great. I've been doing this for a long time now. So just drop it over top. As you split it, the bucket contains the small splits so they're not falling out onto the ground. A lot of times you need to split a piece down 2, 3, maybe 4 times. So it just helps speed up the process. And then I also reuse this bucket when I bag up the kindling. So this is actually a small issue I'm running into, and it is sourcing these kindling bags. Now these have been one of my better sellers. My customers really like the bags. That's actually something we're going to talk about when we get down there. But these bags, they fit perfectly. These are the 0.75 cubic foot bags. They fit perfectly over a 5-gallon bucket, and it makes filling them very quick. So I get all my bags from Northern Woodsman, and for some reason they have stopped carrying these kindling bags. They only carry the firewood labeled bags, and they actually stopped carrying the kindling bags, and they used to sell the bigger firewood bags, the 22-inch wide ones that you could use for this 1 1/4 cubic foot bucket. This is the Wolf Ridge bagging station. So I'm not quite sure how much longer I'm going to be able to continue bundling my wood this way, because if I can't get these bags and I can't get bags that fit over this bucket, I'm going to have to figure something else out. But I don't quite understand why these are so hard to get now. You know, I guess maybe they just weren't selling enough of them. Whatever it was, I need to come up with a solution pretty quick. So we got our bucket in place. I just have this kindling cracker bolted down to a log. It's nice and sturdy this way, and it makes breaking down this kindling quick. Especially, most of this is red oak. I think there's a little bit of hickory in here, but you can just fire through this stuff quick. You get a couple pieces split down. We got a nice pile going over here. You can see how fast that is. Now, if you're just splitting for yourself, for your fireplace, your wood stove, whatever it is, you know, it doesn't take long to get a good week supply or month supply of kindling split up. That should be good. All right, we got a pretty nice little pile there. Get that out of the way. I should have enough there for, I don't know, maybe 4 bags. Because the bags are mesh, it's easy for the wood to snag on the side of it, which is where something like a bucket comes in handy. And I just kind of jam this thing as full as I can get it. Now right there, that is easily 0.75 cubic feet. That bucket is going to hold close to 1/4 or 1 cubic foot, but I always like to add a couple more, make them nice and full. These are some premium kindling bundles, so well worth what I sell them for. All right, we'll set them over here. There's one. I think I'm down to about 12 bags, so I am going to run through these quick. I did not realize that these bags were so hard to get, because I can usually order them and have them within a week. So I need to come up with another solution really fast. I've actually toyed with the idea of maybe going with the Wolf Ridge, that wrapping station that they just came out with, because this stuff would actually bundle really nice in one of those wrapping stations. But like I said before, my customers really like the bags, so I hate to get away from them. So I think I'm going to search a little bit more, see if I can find anybody else that sells those kindling bags. I still need to be able to get them at a decent price. I'm not going to pay too much because I sell these bundles for $5 a piece, and I don't want to have any additional cost in there. Bagging your firewood is not the cheapest way to sell it by any means. We'll do one more here. I'll bag up the rest, and then I'll check in with you guys when we're ready to head down to the roadside stand. Alright guys, we're down at the roadside stand, so here's what I have going on. Right now I have all my firewood bags on that bottom and the middle shelf, kindling all the way up top, but that is kind of a high reach for some people, so especially when you stand them up, there's just not a whole lot of room to pull that out of there. So my plan is I'm going to take this divider out right here. I had this 5 cubic foot little hole right here that I was selling for $10, and nobody is buying that. I actually just sold that little rack that was there for the first time in 3 months. So it's just not a popular seller. I do much better with the bundles. So we are going to take that divider out, use that whole bottom section just for firewood bundles. Middle shelf is going to be all kindling. Top shelf will be for overflow bags. I'll put like a mix of kindling and firewood bags up there and just use them to fill in the middle and bottom shelf as I sell down. So I'll take some of the signage off, move some stuff around. Let's see how this turns out. All right, let's get some of these bags out of the way. We'll take this opportunity to clean out some of the cobwebs. Luckily, I stained all these before I put this divider in, so you'll never know this divider is even here. And I really am shocked that nobody buys that 5 cubic foot rack. I mean, that is a lot of wood that I sell for a really cheap price. Now, it's not the most premium wood. It's definitely campfire quality wood, but for 10 bucks, you're not gonna find a better bargain than that. But nobody buys it. Surprisingly, people like the bags. Now, I can just flip this sign around for now. So previously I had it 5 cubic feet for 25. Didn't have any luck with that. So I changed it to 10. And we'll just cover that up so we can change it later on if we need to. Now, I'm not going to give up on bulk sales. What I'm going to do is actually build another rack right next to this one. I'm going to put some taller, bigger looking racks. Probably end up being close to the same amount of wood. You know, 5 cubic feet, it's a good amount of wood to sell. And I'll just make a better looking presentation for it right next to this. And we'll see how that does. And I'll put multiple racks there. That way, you know, instead of just having one, which I think can make it a little more difficult to sell. If you have multiple of the same wood, I think it's a little more attractive. So we'll try that out and see if we have any luck selling the bulk that way. Help from the firewood bag there. Now this one I won't need anymore, but we'll save this for a spare just in case anything happens to the other $7 or 3 for 20 sign. Actually, I don't think I need to pull that hook out. We'll leave that. Let's just set that up there for now. So we're going to have the standalone pay here sign. Actually might work out pretty good. I'll just have to drill. This side lines up perfectly. I'll just have to drill a hole for that side down there. Right, now, just in case you're wondering, this still holds the exact same amount as it did when I had bottom row, middle row. So with that divider out, I can get the same amount of wood in that spot as I had on this middle row. Now I'll still get this thing completely filled up I'm gonna need quite a few more bags to do that. But just want to see how this looks to start. All right, guys, there it is. Not too bad. I like this layout a lot better. People aren't going to have to reach up to pull bags down, and these things can be pretty heavy. So, like I said, I'll still get the exact same amount of wood that I had in here before. About 30 bags of the firewood bundles, about 14 bags of kindling, and then I'll probably get another 10 plus of, you know, extra storage up here, which will be nice. When I get home from work, if a bunch of bags sold, I can quickly just pull from that top row, fill this in, and get it back into looking in top shape. So it's really important when you have a roadside stand, keep it stocked, keep it clean, keep it looking really nice, and that will help improve your sales. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap things up for today. I appreciate you all being here, and I'll see you on the next one.